right. So this part is SPEDucator Words of Wisdom, and it was put together by everyone in this group. Everyone submitted a piece of advice that they would share with other SPEDucators or people looking to get into the field of special education. So here we go. So the first thing is you will not know everything. Um, you never know everything, even being in this profession for, so many years and whatnot, we still don't know everything. So ask questions, be organized, request help, and accept the help. I know it's really hard, and like teachers are like, we're the worst people to like accept help from people. We want to figure it out, right? We're problem solvers. So accepting help from others when you can is going to just make your job so much easier and save you a lot of time and stress. And know your department and your grade level people, so that you know who to go to when you need to find out certain things, or you know if you're like some of us who teach in a FSC and we're not at these like team meetings with the English department or the math department, it's always good to know who's where and who you can go to in those departments when you need to find things out for your students. Oh, look, it's Lindsay. Are you
Okay.
there, Lindsay?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi. Well, first of all, I apologize. My Bitmoji doesn't have any clothes on. Just embracing the whole Hawaii vibes. Um, so, my word of advice is to work smarter, not harder. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And what I mean by this, you mean you can take it in any way, but what I think of when I think of this is that collaboration component, really working together with other special education teachers at your school. Um, we have obviously the luxury of having each other. But really don't work at or don't reinvent the whole wheel. Look at what other schools are doing too. Just the other day, I was emailing a teacher in my complex asking, hey, what does your guys' CBI schedule look like? I'd like to see that so I can maybe model that over here, and really tap into other teachers and resources, because there's, even though we live on an island, you're not on an island.
All right. Know and understand that students progress at different rates. Just be patient and don't ever give up. Even if it means that you need to try like 5 different strategies until you find one that works for your student, or you have to give it, a month or 2 months. Just don't give up on them. And yeah, everybody will come through. It's just at their own time. That's just something important to understand, because I know a lot of teachers who really get down on themselves about, I don't think I'm being a good teacher because, so and so is not making any progress on this. And it's the magic word is yet, right? They're not doing that yet, but they will get there.
All right. I will go ahead and read this next one, but please feel free, SPEDucators, to unmute. I'm not sure whose awesome words of wisdom each slide is, but please unmute. And if you have anything you want to add, Crystal, were you matching up the Bitmojis with the words of advice? Oh, no. Okay. Awesome. So whoever's this is, please feel free to elaborate. Avoid burnout. Simplify your life and work. I think that's really important. The harder you work, once again, the more tired you're going to get and the more likely you are to burn out. And we do not need burnout in this field. We need teachers to stay.
Yeah, and I remember the person who did write this actually put on there, like it's not like you have to correct every single math problem. And that was a lesson I had to learn when I used to teach resource math. It's you don't have to do that. You don't have to make things so hard on yourself, even if it's like you going over the problems in class or whatnot. In my first year of teaching, I used to take home like stacks of work to grade. And I was like, oh my goodness, like it took up so much time. I was up till like early morning hours. And my mentor told me, leave your work at work. And that was hard for me to make that adjustment or to do, but it was like the best thing I ever did was learn that early on. Um, that work stays at work. Don't go home lugging your piles of things and whatnot, and don't make your job harder. It's already, you already have so many things as a special education teacher that you have to do that's added onto your plate. So try to simplify what you can to make it easier because it's easy to burn out in this profession. I just love that one of Janet. Sorry, I had to look at it a little longer. All right. And don't do anything that you will regret. Uh, Stay professional, avoid gossip. Schools are like gossip grounds. Like, avoid gossip. Try not to put your foot in your mouth by, saying things that later you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. And I think that's a huge one because everyone can grumble, right, about things that are not being done a certain way or things not being done good enough or whatnot. But okay, instead of grumbling, try to figure out what can we do, right? How can you be a part of the solution or at least get things going in the right direction? This is like a big one. I made it bigger than the others because I think we've all been there. As special education teachers, you are very passionate about what we do, and we're very passionate about our students. And don't send emails when you're upset. I'm only laughing because I have written so many emails. And then right before I send it, I delete it. It just helps to write it. But don't send them because usually you will be overly, overly passionate is not a good term, but um, overly emotional in there. And you may come across as talking down to people that you need to actually be working with. So always remember, your colleagues and your administrators are your support team. And when we're all working together, the students win. Okay, so it's very important that we keep those relationships in a good place.
Can I add something in here too? I think it's
Yeah,
student confidentiality. And then someone once told me, when you're working with a child, would you treat your own child that way? Would you treat your own child that way? And to always remember that student confidentiality as well.
thank you. Good tip. Lindsay?
Okay, this one is understand your students. So obviously we all have students who have different needs. So really making sure that you're uncovering and understanding what those students need and how to address those needs. I'm going to leave that a little bit vague because I would like someone else to please add what it means to understand your types of students.
Home life first. Home life affects their school life. Don't think that their disability is just at the school level, right? So get to know the families, get to know their home life, and they'll tell you, and keep that in consideration and in mind when working with them as well. Empathizing, trying to understand what's going on at home and why they're behaving or acting a certain way at school. Definitely comes from the home first.
Yep, most definitely. And especially as middle school teachers, know what makes your students like so excited. Like that's why like Fortnite and different like musicians or whatever, I try to stay hip. I'm like not a hip person, but I try to like figure out like what makes what's the in thing now, right? Because students will love when you can strike up a conversation and just understand what they're talking about, what's getting them excited, what they're passionate about. That leads us to this one: know their passion. know their dream for life. And that's where this came from. The person who wanted to give this tip, said that special education teachers, it'd be so helpful to know their dream in life, because we sit around that IEP, table with all these people, and you need to know, like, what is your student's goal, right? What do they see themselves doing in the future? And everything that you do and every decision you should make for that student and on behalf of that student should really support the dream that they have for themselves and the vision for their life. So know what they're passionate about.
Okay, next, go easy on yourself. You're going to make mistakes. It comes with the territory. Give it time. I can't tell you how many days I come home feeling so defeated over different little things that have happened throughout the day. But really, take it easy on yourself, because we need you. And mistakes happen. We're not all perfect, right? I think that giving it time is important, especially tapping into those resources of other people, whether that's other mentor teachers, your admin, people who are around you who can support you. And we're all here to learn, right? Mistakes happen, you learn from it, and you move on, and you just remember, hey, I don't do that again. That's my best piece of advice too. As a somewhat still young teacher, I think I still have to work on that myself.
Yeah. I mean, as the years go on, and I think like as your time in the field of special education goes on, you learn all these things, right? That you're definitely gonna make mistakes. I think everybody makes mistakes, but it's like what you do with that. Turn that into a learning experience for yourself. All right, next. Make sure to make time for yourself. Balance is key. And it comes with the whole, not taking your piles of work home with you. If you have a family, make sure that you're spending family time or involving your family in what you're doing, at school and whatnot. I know like my students love to hear about my family. So it's just kind of finding that balance, right? Self-care and doing all those things to where maybe listening to a podcast or working out or making time where you get to at least watch your one show or whatever it is that makes you happy. Just make sure that you do that for yourself, because like we said, this field, it's very easy to burn out if you're just always job, 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 job.
Okay, next. Also, I'm just now realizing that every single slide has a theme and I love it. So this is the sharks. Okay, learn and appreciate the value in expanding your professional learning network. Well, this is a perfect example. Those of you that are here right now, you are learning and you are appreciating the value of expanding your professional network by coming here on a Friday night. You're getting connected with all sorts of resources and people who can help you. But also, there are so many things out there for special education teachers. I remember last year during COVID lockdown, we had peer-to-peer sessions, and there were lots of different teacher-led professional development sessions that were recorded just like this on Zoom. And you can tap into those resources at any time and really use those to expand your network. Twitter is another great way. If you guys are not on Twitter, Twitter is amazing. You're connected with so many different people. I'm pretty sure that's how Janet and Derek met, was Twitter. Yep. So make yourself a Twitter. The educational network on there is insane. You can meet so many different types of people. And I talk about Janet and Derek meeting on Twitter because if it weren't for them meeting on Twitter, we would not be here right now at this group. So just saying.
Yep. And then there's also the, is it the Hawaii Distance Learning Forum? That's also a good one to connect with people. All right. Don't ever feel inferior to general education teachers. You're an equal and have a very special job to do that goes above and beyond the duties of most educators. I've felt that way before. It's easy for in an inclusion classroom for the special education teacher to kind of feel like they're taking the back seat to the general education teacher. And I think one of the most important things to know is that no, like that this classroom is just as much yours. These students are just as much yours, all of them. And to take that leadership role alongside, not behind the general education teacher is important.
And I think that's part of this group too, is
Oh.
changing that dialogue.
Yep, for sure. Um, 10 points to Gryffindor if you can tell me where that oatmeal cookie, what movie that comes from.
It's not Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, good job. All right. Okay.
Wait, I lost the
Lindsay?
slides. Sorry. Are we
Oh,
on?
okay.
Are we on communication is key?
We are on difficult conversations.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I was too busy posting in
Is
the
it showing
chat.
up for everyone? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a dual monitor going, and then I went to go put
Oh,
something
okay.
in the chat. I posted the Hawaii distance learning link for those of you that want to explore that. It's a way to grow your professional learning network. But somehow when I did that, I lost the slides. Anyways, I have them now. Okay. Difficult conversations need to happen in person, not email. Yes, I agree. I think when you're, no matter who you're talking to, whether it's a parent or whether it's an admin, sure, you can email them saying, hey, do you have a time to talk? But I think that having those conversations in person, and even having, like, I like to have like mental bullet points, or even sometimes I have a list with me, just depending on like what kinds of things I need to go over. I don't want to forget. I think it's important because over email, I'm sure this has happened to all of us, just in personal, just even personally, not even professionally. One thing is said over an email or a text, and it could be misread or read into. So you want to make sure that you're really having those conversations in person rather than email, so that conversation partner is understanding where you're coming from, understanding your tone, and you guys can work together to, come to a solution or whatever the purpose of your meeting is. Really, I think working together in person is better than an email.
Well said. Get to know your students' family and create positive rapport with them. This is so important. I think all of us here today agree that establishing that relationship with your student's family is key to their progress and their success, their overall success. So it's always nice because when it comes time to schedule an IEP meeting, or if you need a form signed like really quickly, or whatever it is, if you have that relationship already established, it's so simple. It could be simple as a text, right? Hey, I need this. And the parents would just be like, oh yeah, of course. So it's always good to do this early on in the school year, as soon as you can, and just keep that going. I always text my students' parents just to check in, to see, how things are going, or how, so-and-so is doing, just so that you keep that relationship going throughout the school year and not just when you need something.
Okay, next, communication is key. Call home all the time. So I think communication is key when it comes to, especially with parent-teacher relationships. You want to make sure that you're on the same page. You'd rather be ahead of the game and talking to a parent about maybe something that happened that day, rather than the parent finding out from their child that day that this thing had happened. But I think at the same point too, not even for negative things, you want to talk to them about positive things too. Really take that initiative. Like parents are going to remember the times that you reached out to them and said the good things rather than the bad things. They're really going to cherish those moments too. I know when I get messages from parents of my students, I really remember those messages that are praising me as a teacher, thanking me for being a teacher rather than, hey, so and so forgot their lunch today. Those messages I don't even think about, right? It's more those meaningful messages. Also, just some other bullet points. Let's see. Better to over communicate than too little. Communication increases accountability. It makes it so much easier when it comes time to schedule and hold IEP meetings. One thing I like to do too before IEP meetings is, or even reevaluations, check in with my parents and say, hey, we have this meeting coming up. What are your concerns? I want you to bring them to the table. Talk to me about them first. So we're not kind of getting blindsided in this meeting with all your concerns and all your problems. I still want you to bring them to the meeting, but I would rather hear them beforehand rather than first thing at the meeting. Because then I think too, it establishes that relationship with parents, and they see that you care and that you're wanting to work together to form a solution rather than be reactive. You're being proactive rather than reactive. And another thing, parents are great resources. Sometimes if I'm stuck, I'm like, oh man, I don't know what I want to work on with this student. He can do X, Y, and Z. What is something else I could work on with this student? And if I call the parent beforehand and say, hey, what are some things you want your child to work on? Boom, automatic IEP goals right then and there, because they're saying, hey, I want you to work on this. Like I had one student who at home, they use a clothing line to like hold up their laundry to dry their laundry. And I would have never thought of that in the school setting, but the mom was like, hey, can we work on having her pinch, some clothespins to hold up clothes? And it's like, of course we can. That's so doable. But had I not had that conversation with you before the meeting, or then I wouldn't have known that you wanted your child to work on something like that. So really tap into parents. They're great resources, and building that rapport with them is gonna, like I said, keep everyone on the same page and make that communication key, and also set the child up for success.
All right. Be flexible. So it's always nice to have a schedule and your routines, but things don't always go as planned, and it's super important to be able to just adjust or kind of adapt. It's even in the middle of a lesson, and I think that's what makes our job, like we have to be kind of like superheroes because in the middle of a lesson something may go like terribly wrong or off track or whatever it is, and you're gonna have to like, it's nice to have that you took the time to prepare this whole nice lesson plan, but you need to be able at any point in that lesson plan be like, okay, things are not going how I thought they were going to go, I need to like redo this. So it's just in the nature of being a special education teacher, you need to be flexible and not so rigid in your planning. Anyone want to add to this?
I want to just add too, I think you also need to
Okay.
be, I think you have to be prepared too. So like if kids get done with work, you need to have extra things that they could possibly do, like as a choice board, or so that they're using their time wisely. You got to plan.
Yeah, and I can't even count how many times like we're in the middle of something and then this like teachable moment happens and we totally go off. But it's like the perfect time to just teach them this other lesson that I didn't plan for, but it just came about somehow. And that kind of happens quite often. So take advantage of those moments, because those are the moments like the kids are going to remember.
Okay, next, favors come in handy. Be nice to everyone. Custodians and office staff are the best people to know. That is very true. I have a couple partnerships going with the custodians here on campus at my school. We wash the towels. My students wash the towels. And then in turn, the custodians, every time something breaks in my classroom, they are there immediately. Another thing too, I have one of the wood shop teacher. I teach at high school, so we have a wood shop teacher. We started helping him out, also doing his laundry, and he built us an entire garden bed and delivered cookies fresh to my classroom. So make those connections with other people. They really can help you out. Does anyone else have any really good examples of partnerships that they have on campus they'd like to share of?
I am able to go on field trips because another teacher like happened to need, she was like, oh, I'm having trouble getting people with cars to help us drive. And I was like, me and my EAs will drive if we're allowed to go on your free field trip for free. And so like my class just like joined with another class's field trip. So I feel like, you know, just like whenever someone throws it out there, just try it once. And if it doesn't work, well, you tried it. And if it does, then you got to keep doing it.
Yeah, getting to know your office staff is amazing. And like every morning, I go through the front office just to say good morning, because a lot of the time they're doing all of the things that we can't do, or we don't know. Like I don't know how to do all of the stuff that they do in the office. And so going through and saying good morning to them, asking how their weekend was, just truly seeing them as people has been so nice. Because then, you know, when you need a favor or you need to learn how to use the fax machine, somebody can show you how to do that, because I don't know how to do that until Lori shows me how to use it. And I would probably have to ask her every time. But seeing them and saying thank you and letting them know how important and special they are is important.
Yep, good tips. And then we're just going to take a moment to appreciate Brendan's Bitmoji right now in his wizard hat. Okay, now we're moving on. Find the money. Yes. Every time there is an opportunity, and I'm still learning this, I've gotten quite good since joining this SPEDucator group, but just finding the money, finding the opportunities for funding so that you can bring more things into your classroom, or do, you know, like we're doing our passion projects, just simple POs. You wouldn't believe how many people don't take advantage of monies that they could be spending, you know, on the school level even. They don't take the time to do their POs. So I'm always like emailing our DH to be like, okay, so who didn't do their POs, so that, you know, we can go and find more things for our classroom and our students. So just being able to be resourceful. And I'm going to actually ask Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you are like funding wizard. So maybe you could just say a little bit on this.
Well, first of all, I'm hoping that I can get my own wizard's hat later on. So I just want to put that out there. But yeah, you know, if you have a great idea, or you know, you have something you want for your classroom, there's money out there in big and small increments. I first started off with um, the public schools of the Hawaii Public Schools of Hawaii Foundation, where they had $3,000 grants for good ideas, and I was able to get, you know, equipment and iPads and, you know, computer and just different type of stuff. And then afterwards, I went with the DOE Innovation Grant. They had up to $10,000, and I'm sure once COVID is done and we get back to normal, they'll do that again. And so there were some schools in Hawaii that actually teams of teachers would put in grants for the DOE Innovation Grant, because it's all blind. They take away your name when they're evaluating it. So they had different names and different types of proposals, but some schools got like $30,000-$40,000 for their schools because a team of 3 or 4 teachers did unique and innovative ideas. And then there's also smaller places where you can go, like donors choose, and get just smaller things for your class. So there's a lot of money out there. COVID kind of changed things a little bit, but I'm sure next year or the year after that, it'll get back to normal. And if your class needs it, it's worth taking the time to fill out the grant proposal. You know, it's only half an hour or an hour of your time, or maybe 2 hours of your time to put together a proposal. But if it's important to your students, get out there and get the money and the things that they need, and don't let the time constraints stop you. Go out there and get what you need for your class.
Good advice. Thank you, Sean.
Make it
You,
rain.
Crystal, can I add
you've
just something real quick?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick. It's important for you to just keep a running list of the things that you want, because some days or sometimes you're going to get hit with a last minute, like, hey, we got to spend this money. What do you want? And at that point, it's like, that's like asking me what my favorite song is on the spot. I don't know, but later on I'll be able to tell you, and I'll give you like 50 songs. So my advice for that, as far as money goes, keep a running list. Anytime something comes up in your head, just have that wish list ready, because you never know when your DH is going to come to you and be like, the money drop, but you got to tell me what you want today. So just keep that list as soon as it comes to your mind, and just have it running throughout the year, because also, we prep for our beginning of the year items that we want during the year before. So you already want to have that list ready. So when it's time for purchase orders, you're ready and you're like, I got mine, I'm done. And then they're more likely to fund it because you're ready.
Very good tip. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, and our last word of wisdom, piece of advice for all of you. Before I go into it, I just want to thank everyone once again for spending your Friday with us. I know it's been a long week, and for you guys to come and have some time to spend with us and hear all about our field means a lot to all of us. It really does. So with that said, our last word of wisdom is you are loved. Do everything with love. Know that you've tried your best. Don't take anything personally, and don't ever lose your passion. We have two teachers that I can think of off the top of my head that have been serving for 20 plus years. So I'm going to call on them to talk about never losing that passion, that spark for special education. I'm talking about Sean and Brandon.
Don't lose your passion. Wake up every morning with that attitude like something good's gonna happen. You know, take a breath. When you get frustrated, step back, take a breath. Over the course of this last 2 years, outside of SPED, coaching basketball at high school level, the stranger approached me and said, hey, I want to be your meditation coach. And all my life, I believe meditation was sitting down, legs crossed, close your eyes, and all of a sudden butterflies will come around. What I learned was about breathing, was about being in the moment, not worried about what happened yesterday, not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, but just being in the moment. Yeah. And in that moment, working with these kids with special needs, having that passion. Yeah. If you have that passion and you love the idea that you can make their minds move mountains, that's the motto I live by. Then you can wake up every day excited at that chance. Whether you succeed with what you envision walking into work, and work doesn't be work becomes part of the passion. It's not a job. Yeah. Quote unquote, it's a way of life after a while. And you don't get tired. You invest in things like buzzers so that you can shave your head since your hair not growing anymore, and coloring your beard so that your video no look white hair, but you smile. You find a way to smile through adversity, and you just enjoy it. You enjoy working with these types of students, and to find the correct words, everybody has their own definition of why they are here, why they love working with kids, why they love working with special ed kids. I believe I wear the same label as my students. So I'm on that same journey with them, trying to tear that label off and say, nah, this is me. You may not have expected me to be a teacher. You may not expect my student to be successful. We're going after it and we're going to prove you wrong. And that's just the mentality I have every day when I show up to work. I, I am and we are their biggest advocates in seeing them become successful, in seeing them not only be in a crowd, but stand out in a crowd. And having that belief has given me the longevity through 20 years, and I don't count it. I can remember my first day teaching at Hilo Intermediate and being the young guy and writing IEPs handwritten. There was no EC SSS, right, Sean, back in the day. It was handwritten IEPs, and to have seen how special education has evolved, and it's a passion where you're in it for the right reasons and you're gonna last a long time. And Lindsay asked me privately right now to speak. This is impromptu. This is from the heart. This is what I all about. I get told I act like my students, and I tell my wife, guys, thanks. I honest, I genuine. What you see is what you get. And if you build that connection with me, the same way I build a connection with my students, good things can happen. And like I've heard all day, when they want to keep coming back for more, you're doing something right. And that adds to the passion. And don't take anything personally. You're going to get days where they're just not into it. They're going to tell you off, Mr. Moises, you can do this and that, and not going to matter. And just understand that if you get to know them, and it's almost like I summarize in everything I've said in today. If you get to know them, you understand why. Yeah, if you get to know what's going on at home, you're going to understand why today might be the day you need to just let them be. Talk story. Take them outside. Do something different. Do something non-traditional. And while there's a million thoughts and I'm trying to convey it correctly, knowing I'm being recorded, and passion comes from within. Yeah, it's not something that you can force upon yourself to have. And if this is something you truly love, you're not gonna count the years. You're gonna believe you young at what you do in heart. And I'm excited at the idea that tonight we get to talk to the future special education teachers in Hawaii. I get to be surrounded by 20 plus of what I believe are the greatest special ed teachers in the state of Hawaii, with the biggest hearts and with the strongest passion to see these kids be successful. It's not about us. Yeah, we're not asking to be Hawaii State Teacher of the Year. We're not asking for those types of recognitions. Those things happen naturally. We just want to see these kids succeed. And in the end, if that's your goal, special education is where it's at. Go ahead, Sean.
Whew. Man, I can remember my first year of teaching at Farrington in '99. Every day I would go up to the cafeteria for lunch, and there was this Japanese teacher that would always come up to me and my friend, and she'd always tell us, 30 more years, 30 more years. And I was like, okay, that was funny the first or second time she said it, but dang, she said that to me every lunch period, the whole year. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've been honest with my friends on here that know me. In about year 15, I hit a wall, and I got to that point that I burnt out because I wasn't taking. I went through a divorce to it, around those years, and so that was also a difficult time in my life. But I let what was going on in my personal life kind of soak into my professional life, and it really and it affected me. And I was really burned out. And it actually got to the point where every day I came to school, I was like, why am I a teacher? Why don't I just go to Kamema or something like that? Well, I felt like quitting every single day in about year 15. And then my next year got a little stronger, and I just regret it. I just had this sinking feeling in my heart, and I realized that, man, I got to change. Something's got to change, and the students are changing. I shifted back too from regular education to special education at that time, but I really had to reinvent myself and say, hey, you know what, is there a better way that I can meet my students' needs? Is there a better way that they can be successful? You know, can I do what I'm doing a better way? And so I had to find my passion and reignite, you know, my love for teaching and find out, you know, how can I really make these students successful? Because my students' problems were becoming my problems too. And I put on the board something that's been there for like 5 years. I put the graduation rates and the honor graduation rates. And I said, guys, you know, 40%, roughly 40% of the students at this school graduate with honors. And the truth is, right now in special education, our number is 0%. None of the students last year graduated with honors, and it was the same thing the year before and whatnot. And so I took it personally at that particular time that I saw a problem, and I wanted to be part of the solution. And I you know, for so many years I just came to work and I worked with my students and I try to teach, but I didn't think, you know, outside of my classroom on a bigger scale. And I started trying to think, how can I not only impact the students in my class but all special education students at my school, and what can I do to be better? Like Tony Robbins says, you want to if you want your life to be better, you got to be better. If you want your life to change, you got to change. And I guess I realized that the best gift that I could give my students is just to be the best version of myself. And so, you know, I not only try to, you know, find my own healing in my personal life, but how can I be better for my students? What can I do to? I still remember my first year of teaching, my first day of teaching. I said this speech about how I was going to change the world. And I can still remember Ikaika telling me about half an hour into my speech, Mister, you know, the special ed, you know. And it popped my bubble that first day I was teaching. But I had to get back to who I was that first day of teaching. You know, I wanted to change these students' lives. And, you know, to all of you guys, you know, that are on this call or will watch this call or whatnot, you know, the biggest problem in my opinion in education today is what's going on in special education. You know, the students that we work with in general have the highest absenteeism rates, you know, some of the lowest achievement rates, and some of the lowest graduation on time graduation rates and college going rates. And, you know, we can either pass the buck or we can work on that together. We can solve this huge problem together and have an amazing ride together, solving, you know, these problems, but also giving our students hope, because so many of our students, they feel like failures. They feel ashamed of who they are, where they came from, or their community or whatever. And so we have a chance to give these students hope and change their lives for the better. And so, you know, if I left this profession, you know, my first year of teaching, not only would there be a ton of students that would have never have graduated, there's students that probably wouldn't have had as good as life as they did. And you know, that one boy that, you know, was so down and depressed that drew a picture with a noose around his neck, he might have committed suicide. You know, that one girl that came into my class to drop a razor blade on my desk saying, you know, you're the only reason why I didn't use it today. You know, now look at her. You know, she's happily married to a man in the army that's serving our country, and they have three beautiful kids. You know, and had I not stuck with this profession, you know, these students, you know, might not have still been here. And so you guys that are in the profession, you guys that want to enter in, you know, no matter what the obstacle is, you can always find a way through it. You can always find a solution to your problem. You can always find an answer to your question. And you can do that for your students too. And so, again, the greatest gift that you can give your students and your families is just, you know, to be the best version of yourself and you know, come with that aloha every single day. And like Brandon said, you know, remember why you started this, and bring that passion and persevere. You know, there's going to be tough times. There's going to be times where you're like, what the heck am I doing? But, you know, it's the need is the call. And you guys are some of the strongest people that I've ever met. You guys are some of the most talented people that I've ever met. You guys have some of the biggest hearts of anyone I've ever met. You know, I've done some cool things in my career in these past, you know, few years, but I wish I had the heart like you guys had when I first started. You know, I would have been so much farther along. I would have touched so many people's lives. You know, some of you young guys and new to the profession, you guys are amazing. Like I admire you guys so much. Like your guys' hearts are so amazing. I wish I had your guys' hearts when I first started many years ago. I could have touched so many more people's lives if I had your guys' aloha and passion that you guys have. And so you guys are gonna be amazing. There's no doubt about that. And I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to have been part of the group and part of you guys' lives, and just to be on this journey with you guys together. You know, I really love you guys.
Thank you, Sean. That was well said. And we love you too. You are amazing. Um, oh, you both sharing your guys. Is anybody else like all teary eyed over here? Like it just from the heart. Yeah. Okay.
We do it every time, you guys.
I know. Okay.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's been a long week. I want to, you know, repeat what Lindsay had said. Like, just thank you for taking the time to be here and to share with everyone. And you know, what's great is we're going to be able to keep this and share it with others. So even more so. Before we wrap up, I did want to just share something moving forward, and then if there's any last questions, I did want to just say, you know, for the participants who have held on with us this long and are still here, if there's any questions that you still have that you want answered, think of that now so we can answer it. But before everyone goes, if you would like to come, this is to see this group again. We're going to be having another kind of event next month on May 8th, which we're calling our SPEDucator Connection. And so we'll send out an RSVP for that, but just wanted to put it on your radar. We are going to send out like these really cute, someone special swag bags, you know, to people who have RSVP'd. We're going to select 5 each time. So 5 from today and then 5 from next time. So check your emails and, you know, keep an eye out for that. I might be asking you for your mailing address. That's our link to the website and as well as to this project if you want to learn more about these amazing, incredible special education teachers we have here. And follow us on Twitter. So at Someone Special 808 is kind of like our group's Twitter page. So if you want to stay connected and have a PLC and things like that, we encourage you to kind of join us on that. So with that being said, I'm going to stop we can stop recording, and then if anybody who's left has any questions that they would still like to just ask off the record, we'll stay on for, you know, about 10 more minutes. But thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight. This is great.